Hey, ladies. Welcome back to the Her Gems podcast. It is your beautiful host, Caitlin, and I am back with another episode. So, today, before we get into all the good juiciness and stuff like that, I just want to have some casual girl talk. So, I have been watching Disney Plus. And one of my favorite movies growing up was The Cheetah Girls. And it's funny because I like cringe for the first 15 minutes of watching the first Cheetah Girls because I'm like, what in the world? I literally wanted to be them, okay? And it's funny because, okay, so I was 11 when I first watched that movie, and I did not know how self-centered and arrogant that So Raven was. Like, oh my goodness. So that's growth, okay? Because I really loved her character as a kid. But it's also funny that I started watching the second one, and it's crazy because I actually like the second one now as an adult more than the first one. When I was a kid, I did not like the second one. Like it got corny to me after that. But now as an adult, I'm like, this is pretty good. It's kind of funny. Raven is funny. Raven Simone is funny to me. She's probably always going to be funny to me. But it just felt good to like sit and I actually, like I said, I cringed the first 15 minutes of watching the first Cheetah Girls, but I made myself sit there and watch it because I feel like it was good for my inner child. Okay, sometimes we need to, take care of our inner little girl, and I think it was good for her to see that again and to just like reminisce, and for me to like go back and just be in that headspace of like what I wanted to be when I was 11 years old. But yeah, it was crazy, and I really enjoyed it. After a while, I actually watched it all the way to the end, and it was really good. And I've had so much fun singing all the songs, y'all. I forgot I knew like almost all the songs except the last one. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, this is so unrealistic. Like, towards the end, the dog. So, I don't even know her name, but I know that, okay, so Toto, he gets stuck in an underground tunnel or something like that. And like all of a sudden, the school talent show is shut down. The whole neighborhood is shut down. And then, they have to sing in order to get the dog out. And it's just so corny. Oh my God. And then with a guy, I see some of y'all might not have watched it, but in the middle of the movie, Raven, there's this guy who has a crush on Raven, and he's like all like flirty with her, and he whispers in her ear talking about some, you still my boo. I'm like, boy, get out of her ear. So cringy, but so good. I think it was so good. I think the little girl in me really enjoyed watching that. But yeah, so let's get into this episode. Today, I am going to talk about a mommy moment that I had that I am so proud of. I'm going to talk about personal thought work that I did on believing in myself and my brand. And I'm going to talk a little bit about therapy. So let's get right into it. Today was the first day my son went back to daycare, and everything was fine. We were just about to leave out the door until he remembered his lions. Girl, you ever been 2 steps out the door and your child, being the tiny human that they are, remembers their favorite toy and gets to acting up? Honey. I be having to go off into La La Land for a second to gather my bearings, okay? Because your girl be trying not to be flustered and frustrated, but it be hard, But thankfully, I have some techniques that I've learned from my mom and other moms, and I remembered that he's just a tiny human being with some anxiety about leaving his little toys, okay? So I took him by the hand and we said bye-bye to his lions because that's what he wanted, okay? He wanted to take the lions to school, but he couldn't, okay? He did not want to leave his lions. And honestly, I think on some level, they would have been a safety net for him at daycare, because he has been home with me and all his toys for about 4 weeks because of Corona, taking everybody at their daily routines. So I understood, like, me taking that time to just like breathe and catch myself for a second. I was able to understand, and I'm proud of myself for that. After he said goodbye to his lions, he was okay, and it was a lot easier for us to leave. And I'm happy that I was able to calmly talk him down and understand that he's just a little human trying to navigate this world just like me, except I'm responsible for helping him do that. And I'm glad that I'm able to nurture him in such a way. I think it's easy for us, especially single parents, to be on autopilot and forget that our little kids, our little children, their worlds are just as real as ours. And one of my parenting goals is to validate my son's reality and support him in the best way possible, however that may look, right? And of course, there will be boundaries in place, but today, today I give myself the Good Mommy Award. Okay, I did that. Clap for me, y'all. So, question to my single mothers: do you take time to recognize and appreciate when you've done something great as a mom? We don't always get it right, but when we do, I think it's noteworthy to pull that out, to emphasize it, and to glorify it. Because if we spend too much time in mommy guilt, mommy guilt ain't trustworthy. And mommy guilt gonna have us letting our baby stay up to 4 or 5 in the morning watching Morpho, okay, on YouTube. So we don't need those problems. All right, so the next topic I'm going to talk about is some thought work I did on believing in myself. And this is going to touch base on an inner dialogue that I had with myself. So lately I've had my eyes on the B. Simone, and every time I watch her, I get a sense of someone who radically believes in themselves. And it made me question my own self-beliefs and how I can be better at believing in myself and my brand. So I did some thought work on it, and I want to share a little bit about that process. So I have been into the idea that most of everything I need comes from within myself. And I have been in the habit of asking myself questions and answering those questions and just, sort of allowing things to flow. The question that I asked myself was, Caitlin, do you believe in yourself? And the answer I felt was a little bit, right? So that was my answer. And so I was like, okay, a little bit. Why? Because my goal is to give myself clarity and analyze where my beliefs are so that I can increase the momentum of them. So I asked myself a little bit why, and what came up was, do you actually believe in your perspective on the topics that you like? That was another question, a question on top of a question. Now, this may sound a little confusing because it's not the standard ask a question, give an answer. But like I said, this is an inner dialogue with myself about my beliefs. So I didn't answer the question directly. Instead, I went on to clarify what resonates with me in terms of things I like to talk about and why. And this is what I wrote. I said, I think that I offer a unique perspective on things such as self-awareness and self-consciousness. I gravitate toward mental and emotional well-being and evolution. I am an emotional person who carry emotions heavy. Most of my conversations are about mental and emotional health, relationships and communications. How can we be better at communicating with others? It's why I took up communication studies. I wanted to learn how to communicate effectively. I'm not a shallow thinker. I love deep thinking and exploring different beliefs, narratives, and perspectives. In school, I used to love when we would critical think and analyze topics. I took classes such as anthropology, African American studies, feminism, and I also took a psychology class that explored various answers to what is the meaning of life. And I remember there being so many different perspectives and having to write a paper on what I thought the meaning of life was. And so I thoroughly enjoyed it. Things just aren't black and white to me. There's always more to peel and discover in this life. So, me being led to explain all of that made me see that part of my lack of belief in myself and my brand is not being clear about what inspires and drives me. And so writing that out gave me perspective and motivation to turn towards things that inspire me to my core, not just the surface level things, not just coming up with topics that I think that other people would want to hear, but actually talking about things that resonate with me, that I love, and owning that. So when I tell y'all, I be having so much on my mind that I be needing to write it out. Like, it's real. I have made it a habit to have these conversations with myself, and it has really aided in my growth and development of my self-relationship and my self-esteem, because what we say to ourselves is way more important than what we say to others and what others say to us. And so when I have conversations with myself, I allow things to just flow. Like I said, it wasn't the standard ask a question, give an answer, but it was still very effective in clarifying what I needed to clarify in order to feel more confident about believing in myself. The next topic that I'm going to talk about piggybacks off of this one. And it's about therapy and why I think, it's important to go, especially within our Black community. First of all, that technique that I just shared with you all, I learned that from my therapist. It was kind of like my therapist talking to me. And how we talk to each other. I can now have those conversations with myself, right? And so I think that the voice that is normalizing therapy within the Black community it's getting louder, but I think it could be a little bit louder. I'm not sure where the idea comes from, where therapy is for crazy people only, but it should have never started. I personally think that our Black community would be further along if most of us went. You can literally see the mental health issues rooted in our communities, right? The violence in Chicago, for example, you cannot tell me that therapy don't need to be normalized out there, especially when there's a culture where people kill people for killing people who kill people. Okay, did y'all catch that? People kill people for killing people who kill people. And it's just no end to it. It's honestly, it's sad and insane. Like, are you guys crazy? So, just to throw my little tidbit in there, go to therapy. Just try it. If you've never tried it before, now's the time. While it's being normalized, there are also some very affordable options out there. Therapy has been the number one tool to help me overcome so many mental hurdles and battles. The one thing about a therapist is that she is unbiased and has nothing to gain or lose from telling you the truth. They are also more trained in the mental department than your best friend. I'm just talking, but I'm just saying, okay? So I want to know your thoughts on each of these topics. Let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at hergems_podcast. And thanks for listening. Bye.